Hello, creepies and crawlies. We are at Haywood Comic Convention in Day 2, Brownsville, Tennessee, and we are here doing a
podcast? Question mark?
We don't know exactly what we're doing.
It's a panel podcast. We're paneling and we're podcasting and we're just making stuff up as it goes. I'm trying to keep it PG-13.
Weird.
Panel cast.
Panel cast. Okay, we like that. That's a good, do we like that phrase, panel cast? That sounds good. I think it works. So our topic today, we're going to kind of forego a lot of the normal stuff that we do when we get ramped up and going, since we have a limited amount of time here. But what our topic today is going to be is we're going to talk about the darker side of Disney and how a lot of the things that we think are kid-friendly happy tales are not really.
Not. Just plain not.
So a lot of the tales that we see, whether it is Rapunzel, Cinderella, Snow White, come from other sources, and a lot of those other sources are extremely, extremely dark.
Yes.
I want to go ahead and pause here and say we do have some people joining us, so if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask questions. Normally, our podcast is very, very interactive.
Doesn't even have to be questions. You have something funny to say, throw it out.
Absolutely. So we're used to answering questions and fielding things, so feel free to ask away. One of the things that I have always found interesting is that when you start looking at this content that's created to be family-friendly and child-friendly, that these have a tendency to be pulled from sources such as Hans Christian Andersen, Grimm's fairy tales, and even Shakespeare.
Well, yeah, but I always find it funny because a lot of people nowadays, they're so mad at the remakes. Like, they're remaking everything. Why are they remaking this? Why are they remaking that? That's what they've always done. It's just old school Grimm's fairy tale books. It's just remakes of stuff. It's very rare that something brand new original comes up. Even Lion King, for example, was Shakespeare.
Yes, Hamlet.
Yeah.
If you look at all of these stories, all of these tales come from something else. One of my favorites, and a lot of people's favorites, I absolutely love Frozen.
And see, I don't know the history behind Frozen. Tell me, what is the history behind Frozen?
So Frozen is actually based off of a Hans Christian Andersen story called The Snow Queen. And it is a lot darker and a lot more twisted than what we associate with Elsa.
Does she freeze people to death?
Yes. Elsa is actually the bad guy. Her name is not Elsa in the story, but the Snow Queen is actually the bad guy in that story, and we have actually taken and evolved that into her being the central character. And
they love that. Disney loves that. Oh, we have a bad guy? It could be the worstest bad guy. It's Maleficent. Now they're nice, which is great, actually. I love that. But still, the flipping around is not always the thing to do.
Absolutely. Another great example of Hans Christian Andersen being taken out of context and being revamped is The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid story is originally a very, very dark story as well.
I do remember, like, the legs being split apart was supposed to be, like, super painful, and walking was this whole pain-filled, traumatic thing. I don't remember what else in that was.
She was in, walking was like compared to walking on glass, and she was in excruciating pain the entire time that she was a human. She greatly missed her life in the ocean.
Can you imagine trying to, like, kiss someone and being in, just be like, like that much in pain?
Well, the other side of that is it was actually more of an unrequited love. She did not end up the love interest in being married to the prince. As a matter of fact,
that's right. You heard it here first. Ursula wins the love. Sorry, no.
By the way, I like your earrings. That's awesome.
I threw on.
Ursula.
It's one of my regular cosplays, and we weren't cosplaying today. We were just like being ussing. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear my little shell necklace, and I'm gonna throw on my tentacle gear, and I
miss this.
Yeah, okay. I got my rings and my bracelet going. I got my tentacle earrings and a whole bunch of raven skulls because
all the things.
Yeah.
kind of like a little goblin. It's like, ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
Ooh, shiny.
That's the way I dress myself.
Okay. I kind of figured. I do not. I'm like, does that look mournful? Does that look really depressing? Put that on. That works.
I get that
do
sometimes.
Do I look like a what? Witch? Yeah.
Yeah. Bog witch? Do I look like I've crawled out of the swamp? And I get those days, but other days I'm just like, that's shiny. Look, colorful. Do these match? No, this hand is entirely silver. This hand is entirely in black. Whatever.
So this is kind of the nature of our show. We are very unhinged. We never really know what's coming next. It's sitting chaos.
Sitting chaos.
Sitting chaos. Yes.
Is that like The Walking Dead, but the podcast, The Sitting Chaos?
Yes. Yes. You actually have some information as well that you have been kind of. You're looking at me as if you don't.
Sure. No, I did do a bit of information because a lot of the Disney stuff, there's these urban legends behind the movies, and it's those weird urban legends that like kids tell each other in middle school. You're like, oh, Marilyn Manson removed not that kind, but Disney kind.
But they're still dark.
They're still dark. Like in Aladdin, there is a specific scene where they're on the little balcony, and it's Jasmine and Raja, and Aladdin's about to come over the balcony. And if you turn up the volume like excruciatingly loud, you can hear Robin Williams, who's not even in that scene, speaking in the background. And the urban legend was Robin Williams said, "All teenagers, take off your clothes," when really he's like, take off your jacket or something like that. He was like in the background talking to somebody about taking off their jacket. But there's so many of these little details. The Lion King, whenever Simba falls down and the things go up and it's looking up into the stars with the father, and it spells out, it was supposed to spell out SFX, which was the effects team giving a little nod to themselves. Yeah. But every teenager I knew ever back in the day was like, they put the word sex in a Disney movie.
Oh. Well, okay, so let's kind of jump off of that because the truth is...
enough of that.
No. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit further on that. So there are incidents where there are different things in imagery. There's cover art. Little Mermaid is actually known for having that. And I actually...
Very phallic digital art.
Yes. Yes, there is a... there's a penis right in the middle of the castle on the cover art.
Say the word penis.
There you go. It's fine. It's clinical. As long as it's clinical, we don't get banned.
Sure.
I think. Can we say clinical?
You can say clinical.
Okay, can we say penis?
You just did, so good job.
All right. What, 3 times? 3 times the limit, and then we're done.
3. No more. No more penises. Got it. Okay.
Our backstage crew is about to die. They're absolutely. Joey is practically crawling under his chair. The Cabana boy is over there just cringing, and they're like, "Shut up! Please don't say penis one more time."
I gotta edit it.
Our 3 people in here for our panel over there, like, this is getting awkward. They're saying penis a lot.
Just wait until we get to the other side. I'm just kidding. We're never in there. We have gone there before.
Innuendo, out-you-window. Continue with the show.
Thank you. Yes, Disney, the Little Mermaid, that is actually a very real thing that happened. And you had the cover art, you had the poster art, you had these giant standees that right in the middle of the castle.
Theater.
I know. It was just right
giant poster in the theater with this right in the center.
Actually, that was one of the first jobs that I ever worked for was Blockbuster Video back in the day. And I recall seeing. Why are you laughing? That wasn't. That's not the funny part.
No, I think it's the kids these days. Yeah, they don't know what Blockbuster is.
Okay, so Blockbuster Video for those of you that don't know. Oh, good. Okay. All right. So yes, I remember actually this video coming in, the big giant standee. I remember the posters, and I remember at one point. Everything was pulled off the shelves, and it was like after hours they're like, we have to take everything down, we have to restock everything, and nobody really knew why at that point. So if I would have known, because I have a lot of Blockbuster posters, it's like you get tons of these. I have Edward Scissorhands, I have Addams Family, I have all of these original posters from that era that were part of the merchandising.
The release.
Yes, because as soon as they were done with it, they were like, take it down, we're going to throw it away, or you can take it home with you. And I'm like, no, I'm taking it home with me.
Keep hoarding.
I know, hoard all the things. So yes, and if I would have known why they were removing everything, I would have grabbed that standee in a heartbeat, had a big giant castle.
I would have been taking selfies with it. Big thumbs up, smile on my face.
Yeah, that would have been me. Yeah, totally me. But there's also a scene in the movie itself. So evidently the artists were very disgruntled with Disney. Can't remember all of the details as to why, but the artists were very unhappy with Disney at the moment. And so during the middle of the wedding scene with the
oh my gosh, yes, the minister. I do remember. They replaced that.
Did they?
Yeah, they redid that. The scene, it does not have all of that anymore. But for the people who don't know what we're talking about, tell us, please, what was up with the minister?
I have a limit. Okay.
Of amount of times we can say the P word.
Well, we're not going to say the P word. We're going to actually. So there is a scene where the little birdie guy. Somebody help me.
Sebastian?
No, that was the crab.
That's Scuttle.
Scuttle, thank you.
Took a minute, sorry.
I'm like, it's been a while since I've seen this, but Scuttle comes flying in to save the day, and he flies around the minister, and his thing flies up, his little robe flies up, and he has an erection. And it was
back
right
in
there.
the day.
Yeah. But honestly, I do believe I have seen that appear in Peter Pan as well. I think that there is a scene in Peter Pan.
Well, there's
where that happens.
The Rescuers Down Under. There's an entire scene where there's like full frontal, not cartoony adult material in the background.
Yep. Actually,
you have that on your list?
Yeah, that's on my list. And I don't know if was it Down Under or was it the original Rescuers movie?
Oh, sorry, it was the original Rescuers movie. You're correct. I always go straight to Down Under because I liked that one better. The first one was so sad. The little girl's sitting there screaming, trapped in a well, and you're just like, will you please get this child out of the dang well?
And you're sitting there going, oh, I wish she'd be friends with the alligators. That was me. Was that just me?
Friends with the alligator?
Yeah.
But she's friends with all the rest of the animals. I mean, it makes sense. She's a Disney princess. She talks to animals.
Absolutely.
Someone should cosplay her as a Disney
Absolutely.
princess. Idea for you, people out there watching.
Yes,
Probably.
absolutely. But yes, the scene where they're coming in, they are on their little bird plane,
And they're
its
riding
nose is kind of starting to come in. There is a scene that has been myth for many, many years.
One frame.
It's one frame.
Yeah, it is a single frame, but it's been a myth for many years, and until the release of the video and DVD, a lot of people didn't realize that it was there. But you can, with the technology of being able to stop frames and look for it. Yes,
itty bitty tiny little movements of frames.
there is a woman in one of the windows in the hotel that they're flying by, or apartment building they're flying by, and it is full frontal nudity. And
If I'm remembering correctly, they're looking in a window, and on the TV set in the window is the scene.
It's the whole window.
It's the whole window?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The whole window, and it's just, it's a blip. But when you're watching it, but yeah, if you frame by frame it, it's there.
Who did that? Disney.
Disney did that.
Who in Disney? Rob? Why would you do that, Rob?
Why would Rob do that? Bad Rob. No. But it's kind of the interesting thing is that it is also, as you mentioned, it's not animated. It is a real person. And I'm curious, has anybody ever discovered who the person is? Does anybody?
I was never able to find it. Like, this was a topic that when I was in my young teens, I was just obsessed with all of the weird legends of Disney stuff, and I was never able to find. But then again, the internet is a much bigger place now. So
Somebody needs to find that out for us.
Joey, Google, who's the naked lady?
Don't Google who.
FBI agent just shunned again.
Your personal FBI agent just like sighed.
Yeah.
Be careful of what you Google, because if you're like, who's the naked lady? Yeah,
Don't stop there. Put
Yeah.
put the name
lady?
of the movie.
So one of the things that I found that was very interesting, and by the way, we do have notes because there's so much to cover in this type
It
of
is a
topic.
lot.
But Disney actually has a period in which they consider the dark period, where they had a lot of films and things that came out that dealt with darker subject matter. So between 1970 and 1988 was considered Disney's dark period, not only because of the titles that were released was kind of an exit from their normal style, and sometimes they didn't really hit well, and they didn't do well in theaters. You have movies such as The Black Cauldron. You have Robin Hood, which, by the way, I loved Robin Hood.
Robin Hood was so good.
Fox and the Hound, once again, The Rescuers, and I do believe, I'm trying to remember if Fantasia was in the middle of that, because I kind of feel like it was in that time frame
That
as
sounds
well.
about right. Can I tell you a fun story about The Fox and the Hound that is not related to this at all?
Sure.
I've seen that movie once ever, and it was at my grandmother's funeral. That is the movie they decided to put on for the kids to watch upstairs with grandma downstairs in the casket. One time. Great choice, family. Great choice.
So all of the kids were upstairs just boo-hooing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then my dad made me kiss grandma. It was very fun. Great family experience.
What? Wait, what? Kiss your grandma, you're never going to see
It
her again.
apparently was some sort of tradition that he
gosh.
made up in his head on the spot, like, no, you have to do it. Okay.
Okay. I'm just going to tell you, family traditions when it comes to funeral services and death and burial arrangements are always one of those fascinating topics, but that is a topic for another day. We're going to have to go into that because there are so many things.
Joey and I just start taking selfies, like, in the church. Not with the body.
Oh,
No, not with the body.
I thought you were talking about with the body.
Just
I'm like, what is wrong with you, you deranged?
No.
Sorry.
That's where my head went.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And knowing you,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair.
I'm just saying, no, actually, and I am absolutely horrified at the concept of taking photos of the body. And we have family members who do, and I'm just like, do you want pictures of that? No, don't you dare take a picture. No. I don't want to see that.
That would be a fun show topic for another day.
Absolutely.
'Cause people used to do that a lot. Okay, sorry. Continuing on Disney.
Okay, so you do have that era in which they kind of branched out and became a bit more experimental, and so a lot of the topics and a lot of the imagery was very dark, very brooding, very...
Even the colors on it were dark.
Yes.
Like before, it was very Snow White and bright, and all of the voices were just la. And then it just became even the down to the voice acting to the colors that they used on the screen. All of it was just very dark feeling. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go back to the voice. I was a little thrown.
You didn't know I could do Snow White?
I was just like, what the hell was that? Oh my God. Somebody please. I'm like, no. I kind of feel like I knew that you could do that.
I wanted to be a voice actor growing up, so I listened to all sorts of different voices. I just don't do
my
it a
God.
lot.
You need to start doing that in our panels to just randomly break out into another voice. And it's like halfway through, it's like, and then we're going to talk like that the rest of the time.
Fair.
I have one voice. This is me. This is. Okay. So
Did I break you? I'm sorry.
you totally did. You totally did. But getting back to the films, yes.
It's unsolved.
Unsolved. Oh.
Unidentified woman.
Okay, so the nude woman in the picture,
It's Rob's wife. I'm going to say it.
it's Rob's wife. It's Rob, the art director's wife.
Yes.
We don't know that Rob existed. This is our made-up person in Disney.
I know it was you, Rob. I know.
So I have heard a lot of different comments on why Disney has a tendency to be so depressing and why it has a tendency to be so dark.
Bambi. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yes, actually, because, the very first productions, the very first things that Disney did produce were usually very sad, very depressing. One being that the key component in those earlier films is that there was no maternal figure, there was no mother, and a lot of that is believed because Walt Disney blamed himself for losing his own mother.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, look at the source material. A lot of the things that they're pulling the stories from, once again, mommy issues. There's no mom. Mom's the stepmom, or mom is just missing, or mom exists but not really. It's just Little Red Riding Hood gets sent into the woods and, hey, don't get eaten by a wolf. Go visit grandma. Good luck. Moms apparently back in the day were just really vilified.
Vilified.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can't word for shit. Sorry. We'll edit that out.
Don't edit
Yeah.
that out.
Fix it, post.
Keep it.
Fix it in post.
If we can say the word penis 5 times, we can say shit. It's fine.
I think we're up to 10.
Yes!
Okay, good. Good to know.
You need a little tracker on the episode. Every time someone says the P word, ding!
So one of the things, now there's a lot of dark imagery that's not related to Mom too, but one of the things that I thought was very interesting when you start looking into, although these are not stories that were created by Walt Disney, these are stories for the most part that were already in existence, that that his writing team, that they created these movies and animations around, but the selection of them a lot of times were specifically believed to be because there was not a maternal figure. And it was a way of paying homage to the death of his own mother. Supposedly after he became rich and became very well known, he bought his mother a house, and there was an electrical fire that ended up burning the house and killing her in the process.
Oh, I did not know that.
And the concept of the mother's either dying or not being part of the story was just kind of part of his life.
I mean, that makes sense. Art reflects life, and what's happening in your life is, if I'm like super depressed, I'm not going to go out and be like, sparkle rainbows. I'm going to be super depressed and do the depression thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think that was inspiration for Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho?
Do we think it was inspiration for Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho? All of the maternal mothers and stuff?
Interesting.
I'm going to say no. Just because it's so completely different genre. I don't sit here and think Cinderella's evil stepmother and think Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I mean, if Disney wrote it, then yes, maybe. But I don't think Walt Disney wrote that one.
Well, you do have, we've mentioned that these are tales that are recycled and retold and redone. And although Psycho might not necessarily be the jumping off point for what falls into that, there are probably, if you start doing the research, there are probably a lot of other movies that are based on these, loosely based on these stories. I mean, and if you think about it, the original versions of a lot of these fairy tales, when you're looking at Rapunzel and you're looking at Cinderella, they're really horrific. Cinderella in particular.
Cinderella's fun.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Ugh, yeah. Most of the time,
What? Huh?
Yeah. Most of the time, these stories were meant to be morality tales, and so a lot of times when you have those type situations, those type stories, those are going to not be very favorable endings for the bad guys.
No, you get your eyes pecked out by birds in those stories.
Or your feet chopped off, or part of your feet chopped off.
I know that the Disney couldn't probably have done that, but it would have been really funny to see Drusilla and Anastasia chopping off their heels or chopping off their toes, trying to stick their feet in the glass slipper. It's glass. It wasn't glass in the original one, though, was it? In the original story?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was some of. But seriously, the blood alone in the glass slip, like, they're not going to see that. It would just been. That would have been comedic, dark comedy, but gold. There was a bunch else in Snow White that was completely left out of the Disney film. There was the they tried to kill her 3 times. It wasn't just the apple. She was corseted to death, which fun way to die there. There was the poisoned comb that was stabbed into her skull.
Yeah.
And poisoned her. So there was a lot more death in Snow White. But seriously,
Attempted murder.
A lot more attempted murder.
Okay.
If someone is very sweet lady giving you a comb that was poisoned and you almost died, then corset and you are almost suffocated to death, why are you taking an apple from a random stranger again for the 3rd time? I don't know. 14. I guess the answer is she was 14.
She was 14. Okay. No life skills at all. No survival skills at all.
She can clean. That's a survival skill.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go out into the world and you're like, hey, what can you do? I can clean. Maid. Gotcha. Cool.
Okay.
You have a career.
Absolutely. Didn't think of that. Okay.
This is going great. We're doing great.
Are we?
Were there any Disney movies our people here wanted to discuss? Any specific ones you were like, ooh, I hope they talk about insert that movie? No?
I think they did 'em.
Talking about boners earlier.
Yeah, talking about boners
This is
earlier.
the one that I was like, is it appropriate to be talking about this in front of him? Yeah, okay, go
And
ahead.
now he
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Shrek, Lord Farquaad gets a boner in the.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not Disney, but that is like a kids
Disney
movie.
adjacent.
Yeah, Disney adjacent, it's fair.
To be fair, Shrek was never intended as
Absolutely.
a kids movie. It's become a kids movie, but the story, the original content that Shrek was drawn from was an adult-oriented spoof on the Disney-style stories.
Okay, so it actually kind of ties into Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ties into Disney. It isn't an adult spoof of Disney, as the Cabana Boy just said. It's so weird calling you the Cabana Boy. I don't know what to call you. She says the Cabana.
Boy, Lauren, it's fine.
I can call him the Cabana Boy. I've been given special permission.
Yay.
Tee.
I call him Joey the Roadie all the time, and I'm like, Joey.
Joey.
Joey. I know he
Joey.
has a name, but Joey.
Joey.
Yeah.
His name is Joey.
His name is
Is
Joey.
Shrek DreamWorks?
Yes.
Shrek is DreamWorks.
That's owned by Disney.
Oh, okay, so Shrek
So Shrek
is.
is-
Oh.
Okay, so Shrek is a Disney princess, and also Donkey is a bard. Just saying, he's like,
Donkey was the best part of that.
Donkey was the best part of it, but also Donkey was a bard. He sang all the time to hype himself up, hype other people up. He was the extrovert who like force adopted the introvert, and also he effed the dragon. Donkey's a bard.
And a hoe.
Wait a minute, that's a qualification?
Oh yeah, you have in order to be a bard, you have to like intimacy with a dragon.
Good enough.
Absolutely. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the two main qualifications. Do you sing?
I have been watching
And
The
do you
Witcher.
like dragons a little too much?
I have been watching The Witcher, and the bard in The Witcher has not attempted to have sex with a dragon.
Everybody else
What?
said it.
Yeah, anything else that walks, that's fair. So that's
Has he met a dragon
Yes,
yet?
actually, there has been a dragon
Oh,
in that
okay.
one.
I
Yes.
have a fact correction here of my previous statement. They're owned by Universal, not Disney.
They're owned
Oh,
by
okay.
Universal, not Disney.
Okay.
Lies. That's okay. Frankenfurter is still a Disney princess.
I agree.
So that fixes it.
But when you're talking about Shrek, so because this is actually a conversation that we had very recently, and when you're talking about Shrek and you realize that it was meant to be a spoof, there was an entire segment that was recorded that actually Mike Myers was not the original Shrek character. It was Chris Farley. And it was delivered very differently and a bit more twisted and a bit more dark, if I remember correct.
I want to
It was
hear that.
actually played a little straighter.
Okay.
And when Michael Myers
Michael Myers.
was approached,
Yeah.
when Mike Myers was approached to play the part, he did not want to play it as Chris Farley's character. He wanted to take it in a very different direction and required a lot of rewrites on the script.
He wanted to play Fat Bastard.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Mike Myers wanted to play Fat Bastard. If you don't know Fat Bastard, that is a character that he has also done a lot of other iterations of, not just that specific one, but most notably
Austin Powers.
Thank you. I almost said Arnold Schwarzenegger. Dear Lord, I'm tired. I'll take that Red Bull now.
Well, if we don't have any more comments, any more information, anything anybody wants to share,
I'm looking at your notes.
yeah.
Oh, there are two I wanted to bring up that were problematic that I specifically, and this one is the one that everyone gets really mad about, like politically, morally, people get mad at this movie, and it was one of my favorites growing up too, because that was my time of Disney. Pocahontas.
It's because you wanted a raccoon in it.
Well, no, it's honestly the music in that film is the songs are so like beautiful, heart-wrenchingly beautiful, and I'm the music girl. I'm the singy, but well, you are too. Mm-hmm. But I was the music kid growing up, and it was so beautiful. But then as I had this stupid little nightgown that I would run around in that looked like her. I loved Pocahontas so much, and then as I grew up, everyone was like, "Yeah, they should not have done that," and I was like, "Why?" because kid. And then you learn all of the actual history behind the character, and that's not just a character, that was a person, and they were young, and all of this horrible stuff happened to them, and now here they are with a little raccoon and a little hummingbird, and they're singing, and you're like, that's not what happened at all. Disney it was an interesting choice for them to make that one into the happy film. And
but I think that is actually something that Disney does, and I don't know if that is the best option, because the controversy actually does bring attention and awareness. Although, yes, Pocahontas was completely misrepresented because she was a 10-year-old child. She did not have a romantic relationship with John Smith. Yeah. And she was actually kidnapped and taken to another country. And
wasn't she like forced wed to somebody? And
absolutely.
Like it's a terrible story that they just decided to happen. I can support the more, hey, this is a mermaid. It's not an actual person. It's a mythical creature, and I get why they do it. And I see why they wanted to do Pocahontas. Like, it's beautiful, and they really, in a way, tried to bring like representation, but they did it in kind of not the greatest way. I would love for them to go reach out to tribes around the area and be like, what are your stories that you tell?
Tales?
What are your tales? And work with actual indigenous people to create something that's from them, instead of taking one of their, it's not even a character, taking one of their people and creating this little magical character out of it. I think that would be really fun, and it's a good idea. Disney, do that.
And there's so many great Native American stories and legends and tales that you can pull from and still have that beautiful story, beautiful art that has a good moral lesson behind it, but you don't have to bastardize the story itself to do that.
And then the second one you had on here
was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I love the book. I absolutely love the book, but and I loved this movie for me. But sitting down with your young child watching it, and you're like, oh, it's Disney. Look at the little cute gargoyle characters, and oh, they made Quasimodo look kind of not so horrifying. But when they open up the original scene with the gypsy mother running through the streets, and she's holding the child,
crying for sanctuary into the church, and
she
that is
chased
heartbreaking.
And she's chased by Frollo.
Frollo. I can never say his name.
I keep on
right.
saying Frodo, but that's wrong. Yeah, sorry.
Wrong fandom.
Yeah, wrong fandom. But she's chased by Frollo, and she ends up dying horrifically, like in the opening scenes, and you're just like, oh my god, and you're just sitting there going, honey, don't watch.
Well, that scene is really like heart-wrenching. The villain song in that,
Oh Hell's Fire.
Oh my gosh, the whole
Hellfire.
time you're like, dude, can you just get over the fact that you find Esmeralda attractive, because this is like a little much.
The song itself is talking about burning her at it doesn't say at the stake, but it is 100%, we're gonna burn her as a witch.
And then in the fire, there's like the image of her dancing seductively, and you're just like, okay, that's a lot. That one was a lot to unpack. Once again, that was one of the Disney movies of my youth. I grew up on that one. The music is amazing. Whoever played the jester and did all of that singing in the beginning, hitting those high notes, and Notre Dame, and then hits that high note, and you're, oh, so good. But the story is just like, you went with that. You chose that one?
Alrighty.
Interesting choice. Okay.
But some child somewhere watched that, saw these characters, fell in love with it, and has gone and purchased the book since they got older and read the actual story. And so, although misrepresenting the storyline itself, and if it does cause somebody to go find the original stories and go find those and read those, because a lot of younger people probably don't even realize that there are other versions of these fairy tales until they start it's like, oh look, here's Bambi on the shelf, let's take this and read it.
Oh, Bambi.
I know, poor Bambi.
Poor Bambi. Poor Bambi, Dumbo. There's so many that just make you sit there and bawl your eyes out.
Absolutely.
And you're like, thanks, Disney. Great job.
Well,
all right, that was it. That was all I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
We're pretty much at the top of the hour, and ish.
We're pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, we're very close. So, and if we have nothing else, I think at this point it's safe to say.
You do it. It's your line.
I can't remember what my line is. What's my line?
Pleasant screams. But you do it all like seductive. She does it all like pleasant screams. Like that, like Elvira.
That was it. I don't get to say my line today.